confidence that comes from hard-won experience. Every piece of advice you have ever heard about confidence is technically true and completely wrong. Stand tall, make eye contact, speak slowly, fake it until you make it, take up space. These instructions are not lies in the right context, with the right foundation beneath them. They describe things that confident men actually do, but they describe the surface. They describe the visible output of something that runs much deeper. And when you try to install the output without building the foundation, you end up with a performance that fools no one, least of all yourself. You end up with a man who has learned to mimic the posture of confidence while still being governed, at every significant moment, by the same doubt he was trying to escape. The posture is there. The groundedness is not, and people feel the difference even when they cannot name it. The reason the standard advice fails so consistently is that it treats confidence as a starting point when it is actually an arrival. It tells you to behave as though you have already accumulated something you have not yet earned, as though the acting itself will summon the substance. And sometimes, in small doses, it works. A forced posture can create a momentary shift in how you feel. A deliberate slowness in speech can buy you a second of composure when composure is hard to find. But these are tools for the surface, and the surface is not where confidence lives. Real confidence, the kind that does not crack under social pressure or collapse when something goes wrong, is not a behavior you adopt. It is a residue. It is what remains in you after you have attempted difficult things, failed at some of them, learned from the failure, attempted again, and slowly built a body of evidence that you can trust yourself to navigate a world that does not always cooperate with your plans. Most men have never been told this clearly. They have been handed a self-improvement culture that sells confidence as a mindset shift, as a morning habit, as something unlockable, through the right combination of affirmations and cold showers, and enough social reps. And none of that is entirely without value, but it has produced a generation of men who are very good at performing confidence and genuinely poor at feeling it, because feeling it requires something the performance culture cannot give you. It requires the lived, embodied memory of having been tested and having come through, not always victorious, not always looking good in the process, but through, still standing, still moving, still capable of meeting the next difficult thing without flinching quite as hard as you flinched the time before. This chapter is about what that actually looks like in practice, not as inspiration, not as a list of hard things to do so you can check them off and feel like you have done the work, but as an honest account of how real confidence is built, what it is actually made of, what it costs, and why the cost is not only unavoidable but necessary. You will understand why borrowed confidence always has an expiration date, what happens inside a man when he stops avoiding difficulty and starts using it, and what the slow, unglamorous accumulation of hard experience eventually produces in a man who refuses to stop. Real confidence is built the way scar tissue is built. Not quickly, not painlessly, and not from the outside in. It forms in the places where you were exposed, where something got through and hurt, where you were uncertain or embarrassed or genuinely afraid, and where you moved anyway, or where you did not move and felt what that cost you. Both of those experiences are materials. Both of them, if you are paying attention, teach you something about yourself that no book or workshop or motivational speech ever could. Because the knowledge that matters for confidence is not conceptual. Knowledge. It is not knowing that failure is survivable. It is having failed and survived, and carrying that survival in your body as lived proof rather than borrowed belief. Think about a man in his mid-20s. Call him Owen. Owen is intelligent, has read widely, can hold a conversation about almost anything, and carries himself with a surface-level ease that most people find appealing. But Owen has spent the bulk of his adult life in a careful arrangement. He has chosen paths that played to his existing strengths. He has exited situations before they could reveal his limitations. He has cultivated the appearance of a man who has figured things out, while quietly and methodically avoiding the specific experiences that would actually confirm or deny whether he has. He has never started the business he talks about late at night. He has never had the direct, uncomfortable conversation that the important relationship needed. He has never walked into the room where he might be the least experienced person and stayed long enough to learn something. Owen's confidence is wide and shallow. It covers everything and holds nothing. The moment something genuinely tests it, the moment a situation arises that his preparation did not anticipate, you can see it in his eyes. A flicker of something he cannot hide. Not fear exactly, more like the sudden awareness that he is standing on ground he has never actually tested. The misconception men carry about this is that the solution is exposure therapy, that if you just put yourself in enough uncomfortable situations, the discomfort will diminish and confidence will fill the space. There is partial truth there. Exposure matters. Doing hard things repeatedly does reduce the terror of them, but raw exposure without reflection is just repeated discomfort, and repeated discomfort without meaning does not build confidence. It builds calluses. What builds confidence is the specific cognitive and emotional process that happens when you take an experience, sit honestly with what it revealed about you, extract something true from it about your own capacity, and integrate that truth into your operating self concept. That process is what transforms failure from a wound into a resource. And most men, because no one taught them how to do it, skip the integration and just accumulate the exposure, wondering why they still feel unsteady after everything they have been through. The reframe that changes everything is learning to treat your difficult experiences not as chapters to get past, but as credentials to carry forward. Every time you had an honest conversation that scared you and had it anyway, you earned something real about your own courage. Every time a plan failed and you did not collapse, you proved something to yourself that no affirmation could have proven. Every time you were genuinely out of your depth and stayed in the room long enough to find your footing, you added a layer to the foundation that your confidence actually rests on. These experiences do not feel like credential earning when you are inside them. They feel like struggle, like embarrassment, like uncertainty, like the quiet wish that you were anywhere else. But that feeling is not the sign that something is going wrong. That feeling is the feeling of growth. And the men who learn to recognize it, who learn to lean into it rather than away from it, are the men who emerge from the process carrying something that cannot be faked or borrowed or performed. They carry proof of themselves. Picture Owen 5 years later, not because he found a better strategy or a better book, but because something in his carefully arranged life finally stopped working. The relationship he had, managed from a comfortable distance, ended in a way that required him to feel the full weight of what he had avoided. The career he had stayed in for safety collapsed in a way that removed the safety. He was left standing in the open, without the usual scaffolding, required to deal with things he had spent years not dealing with, and something unexpected happened. He dealt with them, not gracefully, not without cost, but he dealt with them. He had the conversation. He made the decision. He sat in the uncertainty long enough to find out what he was made of when the comfort was gone, and what he found, to his genuine surprise, was that he was made of more than he had been given credit for by the version of himself that had been protecting him from finding out. That discovery, that specific, irreplaceable, earned knowledge of your own capacity is what actual confidence is. Not the belief that things will go well, not the posture of a man who has already won, the quiet, settled certainty of a man who has been through something and knows, not theoretically but actually, that he can handle what comes. You cannot think your way to that certainty. You cannot read your way to it, or visualize your way to it, or perform your way to it. You can only live your way to it, one difficult experience at a time, one honest integration at a time, one decision to stay in the room, rather than exit through the nearest comfortable door. The reflection that will move you if you take it seriously is this. Think about the experiences in your life that you are most proud of, not the outcomes that looked best from the outside, but the moments where you feel, genuinely and privately, that you showed up as the best version of yourself. Almost certainly, those moments were not comfortable ones. Almost certainly, they involved some form of genuine difficulty, genuine risk, genuine uncertainty, and they produced something in you that the easy moments did not, a specific quality of self-knowledge that settled into you and stayed. Now, ask yourself what has been keeping you from creating more of those moments, because the answer to that question is the exact shape of what is standing between who you are right now and the confidence you have been trying to find. You need to stop waiting to feel ready before you enter the difficult experiences, because readiness is a feeling that difficulty itself produces, not a prerequisite for it. You need to stop treating the absence of fear as the goal and start treating the presence of fear alongside forward movement as the sign that you are operating in the territory where growth actually lives, and you need to build the habit after every significant experience of asking honestly what it revealed about you, what it cost you, what it gave you, and what it added to the body of evidence you are slowly, unevenly, irreversibly building about your own capacity to be the man your life is asking you to be. There is a specific moment that happens in a man's life when he stops looking for confidence and starts recognizing it. It does not arrive as a feeling of invincibility. It does not arrive with fanfare or a visible milestone. It arrives quietly, usually in the middle of something hard, when you notice that the thing you are doing would have terrified a previous version of you, and it does not terrify you now. Not because it got easier, because you got more experience behind you, more proof that you can handle what arrives, more honest knowledge of your own capacity, built not from what you imagined about yourself, but from what you actually did when the situation asked. Something real of you. That is not something that can be given to you. It cannot be unlocked by the right morning routine or the right mentor or the right sequence of self-improvement content. It can only be built the slow way, the honest way, through contact with the actual difficulty of your actual life, through choosing forward when everything in you wants to choose sideways, through staying in the rooms that reveal you rather than retreating to the rooms that protect you. The men who carry themselves as though they have been somewhere are men who went somewhere, not men who read about going, men who went. Confidence is not what you feel before the hard thing. It is what you become after you stop waiting to feel it first.